Okay, so we're talking about stretch marks this morning, and joining me in the studio right now we have Dr. Titus Bayu. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. Is there a scientific medical term for stretch marks?
Yes. Generally, we call them striae.
Striae.
Okay. And then depending on the type, then we have different names for it.
Okay.
So striae is a generic name medically.
Okay.
And then if it's associated with pregnancy, we call it striae gravidarum. Depending on the color, we have striae albicantis and different names. So
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting to know. Yeah. And what exactly causes stretch marks? Because the theory, or what most people think, is either you're big and you got small, or you're small and you got big. So
okay.
I take it there's a little bit more to that.
That's true. So that theory itself, it's not entirely wrong. I mean, it's got some basis, but the basic explanation is that, like we saw in the video, it's a scarring. Okay, and that means that a layer of the skin is tearing apart,
right,
and then it's going to heal with a scar formation. And this happens when the dermis, the skin is divided into the upper layer, which is the epidermis,
yeah,
and then the dermis beneath it. So when part of the dermis gets torn, and what will lead to the tearing? Generally, an increase or stretching of that part of the body can lead to that tearing. But the other aspect of it is that it's got some genetic basis as well, because not everybody who gets big gets stretch marks.
Okay.
So, and somebody may not be so big and still get stretch marks. And in pregnancy, for instance, stretch marks can occur in about 70 to 90% of pregnant women, which is quite high.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's still a percentage of people who will carry a normal pregnancy and don't get any stretch marks. So there are some genetic basis of it, and if your mom, your dad has stretch marks, the risk that you would get it, or your odds, are higher than somebody who doesn't have any in the family.
All right.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned dad. Now, I just wanted to touch on this a bit, because obviously when we talk about stretch marks, generally we always put it onto the women's side.
Yes.
But men do get stretch marks. I actually do have stretch marks myself on my shoulders, but that came from every time I started to work out, growing muscles again, then I got a little bit bigger and it tore. Now, in regards to men, are we more? Is it that our skin is tougher? Is it that? Is it the hormones? Is it the chemicals that doesn't allow us to get as much stretch marks as women?
Generally, it's hormonal based.
Okay.
When you look at in terms of the hormones that lead to the development of stretch marks simply mean that there's a defective laying of the skin, meaning the collagen that you need to make the dermis thick and firm isn't there, or it's not properly made. In men who have stretch marks, most of them, the reason might be, like you are saying, bodybuilding or use of steroids, anabolic steroids, to build the body, and then because of that, the stretching of whichever part of the body, usually the muscular areas, will lead to the stretch marks. But women, their reproductive cycle itself leads to high levels of these hormones, and so they are more likely to get it than men. And pregnancy is a major time where a lot of women are likely to get it.
That's because of the flooding of hormones into the body.
And then the sheer stretching of the tummy. And in pregnancy, there are a lot of skin changes, just not only stretch marks. I mean, we have this black line they get on the tummy, which we call the linea nigra, and that is also hormonal based. And we have the normal stretch marks that they would get simply because the tummy is stretching out. And then the sheer amount of the hormones, the corticosteroids in their system, will promote the development of stretch marks over the breast, the backside, around their thighs, inner thighs, and stuff. So women are more likely to get it than men.
Let's talk about treatment. Now, before we get into some of the home remedies, this is a multi-million-dollar industry.
It is.
Whereby people are charging exorbitant amounts of money for these miracle creams, lotions, to eradicate and get rid of stretch marks. How truthful is it, Doc?
The fact is that a lot of the treatment options do not provide absolute cure for the condition. And so one needs to be advised very well to make any choice. A lot of the creams, the treatment ranges from creams, all the lotions you talked about, to even surgery. And when we do randomized controlled trials to compare different treatment modalities, some just improve the outlook of the skin and stuff, but not really
getting
rid of it.
Okay, so for instance, the tone may become a little lighter or become more towards your skin tone itself, rather than looking like scar tissue.
Yes, but it doesn't really take away what the stretch mark is.
Okay.
And so it may just improve the tone, but not really. And some of them, they are a bit beneficial if started a bit early against new developing stretch marks.
Okay.
But for those that are already developed, it's very difficult to
Okay, so for instance, a new pregnant mother, instead of waiting for the point where she actually gets big, when she starts developing her bump, maybe she just starts applying those.
Yes, but the catch is that, unfortunately for the pregnant mother, her choice is very limited, because a lot of the creams that are used to manage or to treat stretch marks, I don't want to use the word treat because really they don't really cure it. So that are used to manage it, to improve its aesthetic look and stuff, are teratogenic. Meaning that they can lead to birth defects in the baby, congenital defects and stuff. Most of them contain retinoic acid, and this acid has been identified by the FDA as a teratogen. It can cause congenital birth defects in children. So for any pregnant woman who is so worried about stretch marks, first you need to ask about the safety of your child. That is why you embark on that journey in the first place. So you don't want to go in for something to improve your outlook and then lose out on why you even started that journey in the first place. So you want to check what their contents are. If it's possible, avoid them altogether. But generally, moisturizing the skin tend to have an improvement. Using a lot of vitamins, vitamin C and stuff that promote collagen laying from physiological basis should reduce the incidence of stretch marks. So those things that are harmless you can do, but to go for a lot of our commercial creams, I don't think they are very helpful.
I mean, within our shows we have one of our very own local commodities, shea butter.
Yes.
How good is shea butter?
Shea butter is very good because it provides some natural moisturization for the skin, and so I do not have a problem with us using shea butter. We haven't identified any congenital problems or problems that shea butter can give to the baby. The problem shea butter might give to some people, depending on how it is processed, is the odor it might have, and then the level of oil in it and stuff like that. But for its side effects, I haven't come across any as far as use in pregnancy or out of pregnancy is concerned. But as cheap as and available as it is, a lot of people will not prefer that. They're going to go for other exotic things that are going to end up causing harm.
All right, so speaking about that then, what are some of the things that we could possibly use at home to help with, shall we say, toning of the stretch marks?
So I think the first thing I'll advise against is using a lot of things that appear to change the color of our skin, and using things that we are not sure of the chemical components. They promote the brand names of these things and you do not know exactly what's in it. So my first recommendation is that particularly if you're a woman in your reproductive years, you are hoping to become pregnant, you are not sure when you become pregnant, and you want to use any cream particularly for this purpose, I think you should consult a physician. Let them look at the components, let them advise you accordingly. However, keeping your skin moist if you think you are at risk of developing stretch marks is a good thing. Using a lot of the vitamin C, taking just our oranges, if you can take a lot of oranges, it provides beneficial effects because then it improves your skin, the collagen in the dermis, and gives it a lot of tensile strength, firm, so that when it's stretched, then you are not going to do that. Maybe we should avoid our bodybuilders and staff should avoid the use of steroids, anabolic steroids, because that then even makes it worse.
Well, that has various other issues as well, doesn't it? So
yes,
you shouldn't be using
it shouldn't be used at all, because apart from the sheer stretching from the muscle bulk, the corticosteroids in them also have an effect directly in the ability of the body to lay its collagen the way it should lay it. So I think we should try and avoid that. And then generally, let's try to prevent a very dry, desiccated skin. If you do that, then the risk of it getting torn, in literal terms, the dermis getting torn.
Okay, well that brings me to a good question, and because we're going into Hamatan, dry season, where we have a lot of dry skin that's about to happen. So would that make the whole situation with stretch marks even worse?
It is. If you look at the physiology of it, it is. It should be able to make it worse, particularly for in people who are predisposed to it.
Right.
And if you happen to gain weight around this time, or you happen to build more muscle, resulting in stretching, or you happen to become pregnant and your tummy is distending or enlarging, it naturally should be more pronounced on the skin. And therefore, if you can keep the skin moist, very moisturized at all times, it helps. And our good shea butter will come in, other skin moisturizers will come in to make sure that the skin is moist most of the time, and then we will not have problems.
Doc, I want to thank you so much for coming in this morning and talking shop with me. We've been talking about stretch marks this morning in our health club, which has been brought to you by Lipton Tea, inspiration flowing from nature, and also Voltic natural mineral water. Now, I believe we've got some comments on social media that have come in, and Kevin should be standing by to give us those comments and what people are saying about stretch marks and what they've been through. Kevin, do you have any stretch marks? You have to think about it.
And for people to find out.
Anyway, what are the comments?
Okay, so let's take some comments on stretch marks. Do you have stretch marks? How embarrassing are they? Share your experience or the experience of someone you know. Okay, so let's take some comments on that. Troy Boateng is saying, well, some are nice, others are not. But is it possible for guys to have stretch marks? Well, Benny tried to catch me out there. Okay. Akwesi J is saying, I don't think it is embarrassing to have stretch marks, and it's not a disease. No, it's not. Richson Eric says, sometimes it's very annoying. I think it's not embarrassing, but I would not want to see any on my partner, not even their hair. Okay, Richson, you cannot have stretch mark on your hair. Okay, a champon Oseikwejo is saying it's normal. There is nothing you can do to make it go. Make it go. Rich Love Hilson says, I have stretch marks. I feel embarrassed to wear bikini to the poolside. I just hate it. I wish. Okay, we will take some of this. Abbas Kambasi says, it's nice sometimes. Chaha says, I don't have any on my body, but on some people, it sometimes looks scary. Okay. Niyaboa also says, the bleaching is what most time brings the marks. So I will advise ladies and guys who bleach to put a stop to it. Really, Ni? Is that what you think, that the bleaching causes stretch marks? Okay. Rashid Muhammad says, it's really a shame to guys who have that marks on their body. Well, I hope you don't see it as a shame anymore after our discussion. Young Militant says, Rashid, what is shameful about guys having it? Wants to know. Young Militant wants to know. Adele Araba Forsen says, it's very bad, so I don't wear stuff that will show my body. Okay, let's take a couple more. Kobe Jr., let's take my last one. Kobe Jr. says, I don't really think stretch marks are that embarrassing, but we need to just exercise. Okay, so that is it.